Hi y'all, welcome to the Pandemic Pinup Happy Hour. I know usually we do this live. I do apologize for the pre-recorded video this week. I'm on the road, so I didn't want to leave y'all too sober. I did want to still give you guys some recipes to work with, but considering I'm on the road, I was thinking about how much fast food I might be getting. I have a long drive, and I was thinking how cool it would be if some of my fast food stops had cocktails. So all of our cocktails today are inspired by fast food. Bear with me, they're good though. I know it sounds like it can't be great, but it will, I promise. So I did see lately in the news, there's like this dew-rita, a Mountain Dew margarita going around. And I'm kind of making one of those, but it's my spin, and I swear I came up with this before I started seeing it online. But I did a poll asking people what their favorite fast food beverages were, and Baja Blast was incredibly popular. It's very well known if you go to Taco Bell. I have my Taco Bell shirt on, but it's kind of hard to find sometimes unless you go there. There are some stores that carry it in a bottle, but I didn't want you to not be able to make it if you don't have Baja Blast. So I'm also going to teach you how to make your very own Baja Blast. So for the Bajarita, we are going to first make our own Baja Blast. Now, if you can get it, or maybe you went to Taco Bell for lunch, pick one up. I like to go ahead and get it without ice or strain the ice out when I get home so it doesn't water down before I make the drink. So you would just use actual Baja Blast in lieu of the homemade one. But if you don't have actual Baja Blast, we're going to make the second best thing. So it's 1 part Blue Powerade to 3 parts Mountain Dew. And I use standard Mountain Dew, none of the sugar-free, none of the crazy ones, just the OG Mountain Dew. So I have 1 ounce of Blue Powerade, and I'm going to add in 3 ounces of Mountain Dew. We're going to pour it slow because it does fizz up. It is a soda. Pour that in there. It's 1.5. And that makes 3. And now we have Baja Blast. Super simple, I know, mind-blowing. It tastes pretty much identical. The only difference is the carbonation is a little bit different because you're adding a non-carbonated ingredient to the Mountain Dew. So it's not as spicy or crispy, as some people say, as like traditional Baja Blast. But I actually kind of like that more for the margarita. I'm not a fan of a ton of bubbles in my margaritas, but it works also really nicely, like I said, with the classic Baja Blast. So now that we have our Baja Blast, we're going to get a cocktail shaker, and we're going to be using tequila. I have tried this with a couple different tequilas. Silver, in my opinion, is definitely the way to go. We're going to use 1.5 ounces. If you have reposado or añejo at home, you can use it. I do think the flavor profile of that with the Baja Blast isn't the best combination, but it's also not incredibly bad. So 1.5 ounces of our tequila. I'm going to use 1/4 ounce of orange liqueur. Literally anyone you have at home will work. We're going to use 1/2 ounce, no, sorry, 1/4 ounce, 1/4 ounce of simple syrup. A whole ounce of lime juice, whole thing. It's a margarita if it's not a little bit tart. And I definitely like my margaritas on the tartar side, not the sweeter side. So if you are more of a sweet person when it comes to your margaritas, you can either dial back the lime or add in more Baja Blast. So we have those ingredients in our shaker. I'm going to ice it up. And we're going to give it a little shake. All right, you want to do about 10 seconds. Now, you don't want to shake this with the Baja Blast inside the shaker. I cannot stress that enough. Never shake a carbonated ingredient. It will cause your shaker to create a lot more pressure than you are able to hold, so the shaker will explode and fall over. So don't do that. We're going to pour it in after. So I have my Baja Blast. I have my cocktail shaken. I'm going to add in 3.5 ounces of Baja Blast. Now, that is what I think is a good ratio. but you can add more. You can add less. If you add less, it starts tasting closer to a standard margarita, obviously. So I have my super fancy margarita glass to disguise the fact that I'm using Baja Blast. And I'm gonna pour my margarita in here. And I like to dirty down my margaritas. I like little ice chips when I'm drinking, especially if the margaritas need to take for hot weather. So I'm gonna ice this up just a little bit more. You could also use crushed ice if you wanted to. And put a little lime wedge on the side to make it a real margarita. But that, guys, is the Bajarita. It's upsetting how good this is because it tastes, you taste all of the margarita, but you also taste all of the Baja Blast. And I did a lot of tweaking with it so that you could find them both. I didn't want it to be more one than the other. It's so tasty. I know you guys are skeptical, but please try this. Don't try the dew-rita somewhere. Try the Bajarita. Make it at home and then tell me what you think. I'm gonna put that over here to the side and drink it later. So moving on to our next cocktail. I absolutely adore Sonic Cherry Limeade. Mostly growing up, it has kind of too sweet of a flavor profile or too artificial of a flavor profile for me nowadays. So I really wanted to make an adult version of Sonic's Cherry Limeade. So I'm calling this Not Your Kids Limeade. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna get a little bit creative. I've tried this with a bunch of different spirits. I think it goes really, really well with rum. I am using a funky rum today, a funky white rum, a rum agricole, but you could just use any silver rum you want. I've tried it with aged rums. It also works really nicely, but it starts deviating further from that Sonic kind of flavor that we're going for. So for this cocktail, we are gonna add in 2 ounces of our rum right into the shaker. And then the cherry stuff, I've seen a lot of these cherry limeades be recreated, and I think the mistake that most people make is using regular maraschino cherries and that kind of grenadine. It is so hyper sweet, it is so artificially flavored, and it just doesn't do it for me. But I drink a ton of old fashions, and I love Luxardo cherries. I love their flavor, I love that syrup, and a lot of the times we blow through those cherries, toss the syrup. So instead of using maraschino or grenadine, I'm using the syrup from a Luxardo cherry jar. Great way to fully use that product, have less waste. But we're going to use a 3/4 ounce of that syrup. And now this is kind of relative. It's going to be up to you how much you want to add in there because it's a different sweetness than simple syrup. So if you make this and you think it's too sweet, then you can dial it back a little. If it's not sweet enough, you can add in more. Then we're going to use another whole ounce of lime juice. Put that right in there. We're going to shake it up. Add some ice to my shaker. Okay. Same thing, about 10 seconds. One of the benefits of using funky rum for this is it has a very distinct aroma. So if for one day you decide to make this, you also get a Sonic Cherry Limeade for your kids, you can smell them and immediately know which one it is. But we have that in there. And then we're going to add some Sprite. The classic one has 7-Up in it, if I'm not mistaken. It's kind of up to you how much you want to add. I like to add in about 4 ounces or so. I've also had this without the Sprite and it works just as beautifully. But in the spirit of being classic, I'm estimating about 4 ounces. Put that in there. This nice little glass, and it would not be a Pandemic Pen Up Happy Hour class or a Sonic Cherry Limeade if we didn't use Sonic Ice or Pebble Ice. So everybody knows by now, this is like my literal favorite ice in the world. Have a ton of it today. Just fill this glass up. Live my best ice life. All right. So now that we have all that cherry ice and Sonic Ice, pour this over our ice. Spill just a little bit. All right. Look at that. It looks a little darker on screen. I'll bring it a little closer. Maybe the lighting will help. But put a little lime wheel on it so it feels a little more fancy and straw. And there you go. That is not your kids' limeade. That is your limeade. It is delicious. It tastes like you can make it through any parenting struggles that you have today. So I hope this helps. I have no kids, but this helps me get through the day with my boyfriend and our roommate. Okay, I'm gonna put it down because I could drink that whole thing like that. So, last but not least, I wanted to make a tribute cocktail, kind of. So it's not a recreation necessarily. It's kind of just my take on something. But A&W was really big when I was growing up. I feel like I just haven't seen them in a really long time, other than just like the root beer in the store. But like their actual locations, their little restaurants and stuff were all over the place when I was younger. And they had the best root beer floats. But I'm a Texan. I like to use that all day, every day, as much as possible until everybody is thoroughly annoyed with it. So I'm going to make my Texan version of a root beer float. And I like to call this the Floating Ranger. So this one we're going to build in our glass. I have this nifty little glass that looks like it came from a diner. But we're going to use one of the most Texan flavors in existence of ice cream, and that is butter pecan. Don't say pecan, it's pecan. So put a ton of this ice cream. I don't have an ice cream scooper, so bear with me. It's not going to be pretty. But I don't think that really matters because it's going to be super tasty. So put a ton of that ice cream in there. I have no self-control. Everything, all of this ice cream. All right, ice cream in. We're going to use 2 ounces of Texas Ranger whiskey to make it super Texan. This is a blended whiskey. It's kind of a Texan version of Crown. If you want to compare it to something that's more commercially available, I don't know if y'all have this in your local liquor stores, but it has some really nice vanilla tones to it without being a flavored vodka, without being a vanilla syrupy sweet, or sorry, a vanilla whiskey, without being a syrupy sweet whiskey. It's just got these really nice aromatics that are going to work really nice with the pecan. So we don't skimp in Texas, we go hard. 2 ounces. If you're feeling frisky, 2.5. Just don't tell anybody I said that. Maybe 3, I don't know. And it wouldn't be a float if I put Coke on it. Gotta use Dr. Pepper. So we're gonna use Dr. Pepper. Run that right there on top. And I know this is gonna sound really strange, but growing up, my grandmother used to drink Dr. Pepper all the time, over ice with lime. And there's something about the combination of Dr. Pepper and lime, the ingredients that give Dr. Pepper its unique flavor, even though some people think it's just like Coke, go really well with lime. And I feel like lime peels or like a twist of lime isn't used enough in cocktails. It has a nice bitterness to it that you don't get from lemon or orange. So to top off this amazing float and make it look all big and stuff, we are going to express a lime peel over it. And just put that in there. It's kind of like a little secret adult treat. That's how you know it's the grown-up one. But yeah, guys, look at that. It's magical. Put a straw in it, put a spoon in it, put your face in it. My favorite thing to do is to like huff in float bubbles. I don't know if I'm the only person that does that, if that makes me weird. But that's how I like to drink it. But this is the float. We have Not Your Kids Limeade. We also have the Bajarita. So I encourage you not necessarily to eat out at fast food places, but if you do, find a menu pairing that goes with this. Do half the work. Let them cook for you and you make your own drink. Or if you just kind of want to try something that makes you think of eating out, but not at a restaurant, try these. Or just do it because I said so. But either way, when you try them, let me know. I'm really, really sorry that this isn't as interactive. If there are any questions, please feel free to reach out to me as always. I will be checking for comments or emails or messages later today. And then next week, I'm super excited, we're going to start a whole month of spooky themed cocktails. If you don't know me, new information is I adore the holidays. I will use any excuse to be unnecessarily over the top. So we have themes every week throughout October. We have ghosts, we have vampires, we have witches, we have a bunch of stuff. And then in November, we'll start off with a really cool class about Dia de los Muertos. We'll learn about some culture, learn how to maybe do some special techniques that are not just for your cocktails. But it should be really interesting. I just feel like holidays always make me feel festive. They make me feel good inside, and I want to share that with y'all. So I hope to see y'all next Sunday, where we will be doing spooky themed cocktails, and it should be great. But I'm going to go drink this float and pretend that I'm 5 years old, because I am, but with drinking privileges. So cheers, guys. See you later.